Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to my new video where we're going to be going over 5 things that you do not know about Irelia and that you can use to climb and better your game, and you can work on, practice, and just get to the next level of Irelia play. I'm not going to be covering basic things like runes or items or basic combos. I'm going to be covering more intermediate tips that you can look to abuse in solo queue. The first thing that I want to talk about that is so common for the lower elo Irelias that I see anywhere from iron to platinum, even some low diamond Irelia players are not abusing this, and this is the insane auto attack range that you have when you play Irelia. If you did not know, she is the second highest unmodified auto attack range outside of Viego being number 1 at 225. Irelia has it at 200. The bulk of the enemy champions are going to be at about 75 range lower than you. There are going to be a lot of champions like Camille, like Gangplank, like Tryndamere, like Riven that are sitting at 125. This is close to the distance of differential of a Caitlyn versus a Vayne. So understanding that kind of play style, you can adapt that into your game coming into the top lane. Everyone knows how to play a Caitlyn into Vayne. Essentially, you want to be punishing them with your increased auto attack range, and when they tumble into you, you E out and then maintain that range. This is the same basic concept we're going to be applying with Irelia against enemy champions. So how are you going to be looking to do this? If you want to, you should be going into the practice tool and getting a really good idea of your auto attack range. You want to be staying on the outside of your auto attack range, and you want to be backing off a little bit after your auto attack. This isn't a scared move. We are trying to bait them further down the lane because Irelia is an extremely strong, consistent damage champion. Once she gets her stacks and she has her Conquer all stacked up, she is a really frightening threat coming out of the lane, and the deeper that you can draw them into the lane, the better. Essentially, in lower elo solo queue, the bulk of my viewers, I know that you guys are in from about iron to gold is my viewer base. This is going to be a very huge tip that is going to help you out so much, and that is auto attacking, backing off. The general player is going to want to trade back autos with you if they believe that you're in an even game state and they think that they can win the trade against Irelia. How we punish that is by getting that guaranteed frame that you know that they're going to be walking to you, trying to get that auto attack back and trade back on you. That is when we're going to be punishing them with your E and punishing the overextension. Now, before looking for these kind of trades, you want to have full stacks and hopefully some minions around to bounce around with your Q and do what you need. But however, just get really used to this basic trading pattern of just harassing the enemy with your increased range, maybe getting some early boots and getting that early Blade of the Rune King, giving you more movement speed so you can stay on the outside of your auto attack range without getting any damage traded back on you is going to be just a absolute insane way to outplay the enemy, and the more you practice it, the better of an Irelia you will become. And that will wrap up tip number 1. Alright, and getting into tip number 2, I'm going to talk about an extremely great way to set up traps on the enemy champions because they do not fully understand the kit. This is going to work anywhere from iron to low diamond, and that is baiting with low HP. And this means not using your potions, maybe not life stealing too much if you're going the very strong lifesteal build, and making sure that allowing them to bait them in, thinking that they are strong, but that you know that you can outplay the champion. Maybe you quickly dash around on some minions, increasing your healing, and then turning on the enemy champions. What this bait is going to allow you to do is, first, it's going to give you a very high percentage chance of hitting your E, hitting your R, and hitting your W on champions, because you know when enemy champions think that they can win a fight against Irelia, they're going to run absolutely in a straight line at her, particularly in the lower elos, and really they do not care too much about your E. This is where you abuse the Q healing, the healing and sustain built into your kit with Conquer, and even if you're going Legend Bloodline, and then taking full advantage of this amazing rune Last Stand if you're going to look to set up these kind of traps on enemy champions and really punishing them down the lane. This is another great way to bait enemies further down the lane. If you did not know, the first tip and this tip are talking about it because this is that important of an ideal. Getting people deeper down the lane and making them run farther away to get to the safety of their turret is going to be a great way to get a couple of kills on enemy champions. So please, please, please make sure that you are looking to take advantage of Irelia's full kit, and that is baiting people out with low HP. And that will wrap up tip number 2 for Irelia. All right, and getting into tip number 3, we're going to talk about a couple of defensive things that I do not see very commonly used by the average Irelia players. The first thing is that your reposition with the Q allows you to get behind the enemy target instantly with your Q, essentially being able to dash out from anything that is happening in front of the champion. This is particularly important for champions like a Cho'Gath that is maybe throwing out a W in front of him, a Scion that is throwing out a Q in front of him, maybe an Ornn is doing a W. Being able to quickly reposition behind the enemy on something that is channeled and is only going in front of the champion, this is a perfect time to be queuing on the enemy because you are looking for consistent long trades against a lot of these ability based champions up in the top lane. This is going to be a very, very great way to set that up because you are essentially getting between them and the turret that they want to run back to. So making sure that you're timing your Q properly on enemy champions, generally when they are using an ability that you are dodging on your Q, and then essentially being able to use your W to use the damage reduction on any kind of extra burst damage that's going to be coming out of the kit. Effectively, you are neutralizing up to their entire kit, but at the bare minimum, 2 abilities out of their kit, leaving only their ultimate and their third ability. So being able to set this kind of trade state up for yourself is going to be a great way to put yourself in position to win a lot of those all-ins on Irelia. And that will wrap up tip number 3. All right, and getting into tip number 4 on Irelia, we are going to be talking about her ultimate and how forgiving of a reticule this is. If you are newer to the champion, if you're only 20 or maybe 30 games played of Irelia, you do not have the full understanding of when your ultimate will hit and when your ultimate will not hit, particularly in a dynamic environment where enemy champions are moving and you're moving, and the factor in movement speed, maybe movement speed increases, maybe slows on enemy champions, and where you can throw out your ultimate. So how you first start getting this knowledge is jumping into a practice tool and understanding how forgiving your ultimate is. There is in no world should this hit based off this reticule. First of all, it's too far up. And second of all, it isn't long enough to make contact with the enemy champion, but it's hitting from this range. So once you start really mastering this range, you're going to have a better chance of snowballing on enemy targets. However, in the lower elos, people are not going to know that they can get hit by an Irelia from this far away with the ultimate because it appears to be a rather short reticule and they do not have the best understanding of the range. Now, you should be practicing that, and then also you should be practicing your R flashes that you can hit on enemy champions from even farther away. Essentially, from Fog of War, you are able to R flash in and hit these on enemy champions. So being able to do this from bushes, maybe if you're just roaming up to the top lane and you're playing mid, being able to get those kind of engages are going to increase your gank and your roam percentage increases, like the percentage of a successful roam is going to skyrocket if you're using these kind of combos on flashless targets that are going to get slowed, and then they're going to get stunned, and then they're going to get dashed on and get followed up by your top laner because you're just setting them up for a great situation. So please jump into a practice tool, get a good understanding of how forgiving this reticule can be, and then understanding it's not that forgiving where you can just throw it out that far away, but you can hit it from really strange distances. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up tip number 4. All right, and getting into the final tip, we are going to be talking about the 2 things. First of all, we're going to be talking about the Stride Breaker combo with the R Flash and how insane it is and the amount of range that it can cover in an extremely quick amount of time. So as you can see here, the target dummy, you can see the numbers right there. It is completely out of Fog of War, and I'm going to be able to hit it from a very long distance away. So how it's going to play out is we're going to do Stride Breaker, R, F, and it is going to hit on the enemy target, and we would be able to Q dash in onto that slowed target. So knowing this combo and going Stride Breaker, maybe if you're up in the top lane and you're against ranged champions, there is absolutely no reason why you should not be able to land a combo on a champion when you can literally Stride Breaker combo into a champion that isn't even on your screen yet. So the final thing we're going to be talking about in this tip is how you can look to zone champions with your E1 and how you can look to get a lot of free auto attacks in a very similar way to the bot lane supports where they run at targets threatening their hooks, and how they look to dodge and take advantage of that dead time where the enemy is not running away and just juking back and forth. So how you look to utilize that when playing Irelia is you throw out your E1 and then then you look for a couple of auto attacks, and then you throw out your E when they realize, hey, this guy's just auto attacking me and isn't even throwing out his E2, and I just need to get away because he's running on really, really low health. So the lower HP threshold the target is at, the less likely he is going to be looking to dodge your E, because he's like, oh geez, I just need to get out or else I'm just going to die to auto attack. So the lower the HP you can get on the target before committing your E2 is going to be great. And then also, if you're able to force a flash out of the target before proccing your E2, you can follow with the flash and then do your E2. And this is just going to really create a hard situation where the enemy has to choose to take a lot of free auto attacks by juking your E2, or by just walking in a straight line and just making the E2 a pretty much 100% hit on the target. The only people that are going to be able to deal with that are the people that are able to reactively dodge a E coming out of Irelia. Maybe they're just walking in a straight line and you're holding on to your E2, and then you finally decide to throw out your E2, but you're going to catch a lot of people dead timing a lot of their movements and input commands, where you're going to be able to get free auto attacks, and you're going to be able to hit them with the E2 and put them in a very, very poor situation. So guys, that's going to wrap up my video, guys. If you have any questions, you can hit me up in the comments down below, and also I'm going to put a link to my Discord in the pinned comments. As always, guys, take it easy.